Hello and welcome to Letters to Hollywood. I'm your host, Jim Whitaker. Letters to Hollywood is where I write to a person or a group of people in Hollywood and tell them how to do their job so that I can be entertained rather than disappointed in what's coming out of Hollywood. In this first installment, we're going to talk Indiana Jones, and after the debacle that was The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I have a few pieces of advice for its director, James Mangold. So I've written a letter here to James Mangold, and without further ado, I'll get started. Dear James Mangold, it's my understanding from media reports that you will be directing the fifth movie to include Harrison Ford as the iconic Dr. Indiana Jones, and that you are involved in revisions to its manuscript. I hesitate to call it the fifth Indiana Jones movie because the previous installment, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, failed to satisfy two of the three necessary criteria essential to an Indiana Jones movie. The three criteria are as follows. First, the movie must star Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. So far, it appears the fifth installment is on track to meet this criteria, as did Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Second, there must be an unrelated opening scene. In the opening scene of The Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Golden Idol retrieved by Dr. Jones had absolutely nothing to do with his search for the Ark of the Covenant. In the Temple of Doom, the opening scene featured the ancient remains of Emperor Nurhaci and a rather large diamond, neither of which was related to the lost stones of Shankar. And in The Last Crusade, young Indiana Jones came upon the Cross of Coronado, also unrelated to a search for the Holy Grail. These unrelated opening scenes were important because they gave us insight into Indiana Jones as a character and his associates. They also created some of the most iconic moments in the entire pantheon of cinema. Unfortunately, the opening scene in The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull violated this criteria of having an unrelated opening scene. Its opening scene was definitely plot relevant. The third criteria is that there must be a religious artifact with supernatural powers. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, it was the Ark of the Covenant from Judaism. In the Temple of Doom, it was the Lost Shankara stones from Hinduism. And in The Last Crusade, it was the Holy Grail from Christianity. In The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it was an alien skull from outer space. You can see the difference between themes maintained in the first three films that were violated in the fourth. So I humbly request that you make this upcoming installment, the fifth one of the Indiana Jones franchise, a true Indiana Jones movie by first ensuring Harrison Ford stays on board as Indiana Jones, two, ensuring the opening scene is largely, if not entirely, unrelated to the main plot, and three, that the artifact of interest have some supernatural power and be from one of the world's religions or ancient mythologies. Sincerely, Jim Whitaker. Thank you for listening. If you agree, please put it in the comments. Let's see if we can get a proper Indiana Jones movie out of them. If you like the theme, please like and subscribe. And there are more letters to come because there is so much that I have to say to Hollywood. So thank you.